nice, isn't it? Yeah. So we're in a bit of a different setting today. So nice to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, a bit different this one. So what is this and where are we? Like, what's everyone looking at?
So this is Self, our new brand at Next. So it's a totally independent brand that we've launched. So it's a year old now, and it's kind of all around like that athleisure customer, somebody a bit younger that we've kind of tapped into that market. So yeah, it's just something totally new that we've not offered before at Next.
It looks it as well. You can tell just by being in this room.
Yeah.
And what's your guys' involvement been in that? So talk me through that.
So I look after loungewear, nightwear and slippers. And Dominique does the lingerie side of things. But we don't just stick to strictly that kind of product. Like we like to tap into different areas like
both buyers.
Both assistant buyers.
Both assistant buyers.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you both assistant buyers. One on lounge, one on lingerie.
Yeah.
And that's in the non-clothing world, is it?
Yeah.
What is that
so
as well?
Women's wear. So it's more of the intimate apparel, accessory side of women's wear. So we do swim and beach, lingerie, lounge, bags.
It's like the technical, like the footwear, bags, hats, gloves, scarves, that kind of thing. And like the intimate apparel as well, like swim and beach, like the stuff that's a bit more technical in sizing maybe.
Fabrications, technical fits and things like that. Fit for purpose. There's so much that goes into that on the lingerie side as well.
Right.
And certain things you might not see, like your nightwear and your underwear, like people wear it outdoors.
So how have you gone from working on that to launching Self then? Like, what's the journey of Self been before we talk about you guys, I guess?
So we kind of realised as a business we were under indexing that younger customer. So especially it started on lingerie. So we had this market research and realised that there was that customer out there that wanted something a bit more youthful. We kind of wanted to change the perception of younger people shopping. You know, Next is somewhere that their parents would shop or their mum would shop, so they were kind of a little bit off put, but actually we felt like this is things that we would wear, and you know that's what we wanted to bring. What we get excited by. New opportunity to the department.
So,
and I feel like obviously from that as well, it's like Dominique said, like what we get excited by, what we feel like we haven't delivered, and it almost being like there is that market for that, there is that customer for that. And we, like we were saying before, like we're quite lucky to have had that trust from managers and like teams and everything to work together to be able to like develop this collaboratively. Just work together and create something that's super exciting that we would wear, and that, you know, like we get feedback now that people are like, my daughter loves it, my sister loves it, my girlfriend loves it. Like, I buy every jumper, like I can't wait to buy the new colourway of it and things like that. So yeah, it's super exciting.
Must be nice that you've been able to work with the teams and see an opportunity and then actually bring it to life then.
Definitely.
I guess not many, you wouldn't really think in a company the size of Next that there'd still be those things happening, but this is evidence it does.
And I think more now than ever, actually, it is happening where there's like that gap in the retail market where we are such market leaders in the areas that we deliver. It feels like we're the experts, so we should be driving that, and we should be driving that trend. And, you know, our customer's moving on, she's moving with us. We want to react to them, and we've found that we now have our own customer profile within Self.
Definitely.
So not just on main range, it's always like, what's that Self girl wearing? What's the next thing that's most relevant trend for her? So we definitely buy with her in mind now, rather than...
And we were saying earlier, like we both shop retail. We absolutely love going out shopping. Where Next has such a huge retail presence and platform, there isn't actually that much around. So if we can offer that customer as well, that opportunity within our stores and new offering, like that's something that we really want to grow.
And I think with the new, like with the cost of living crisis and things like that, you know, shops are just getting more and more expensive. And you still want to be able to deliver it in an accessible way, not tarnish your quality, you want to be able to have that. And, you know, we have the buys behind it to be able to deliver it, still having quality, but actually making it super affordable for who our customer is and what she's wearing it for. Like, you don't want to pay £100 for a jogger set that you're just going to sit and lounge in, or like, you know, travel to the airport in. Like, you want to feel trendy. But still feel affordable, at the same time.
Definitely where we look at social media, and this is very much a social media influencer-led brand, we think that a lot of influencers that we follow, they have such expensive shopping habits that we think actually from an affordable point, like what Charlotte said, how can we deliver that to our customers and for us to be able to buy as well?
Yeah, for us to be able to have that, because you do want, if you love something, I know that that's what my habit's like, I want it in every colour.
Yeah.
But like, I don't have to pay like all this money for it.
You
like,
want it all.
To have it. Yeah. So
it sounds like then it's been like something that's like a real passion project that's kind of where did it start? Was it kind of already emerged before you guys got involved? Or?
Yeah. So it started on lingerie and it was already just about to launch as I joined the department. And then loungewear kind of took it on as well.
We had a bit of a lull where we were like, what is the new thing? Like, what is the latest thing? I think especially after COVID, because obviously lounge sales were amazing in COVID. Yeah. And then it kind of dipped off because everybody was going out again. And then it was like that whole working from home thing, but like still feeling presentable, still feeling on trend. And, you know, people are a lot more open to wearing their joggers outside and things like that. And it was like reacting off that and like what we would want to wear, like we were saying, we didn't feel like we offered that. And I think from the ethos and the colour palettes and everything, it just felt so natural and it just looked so collaborative as a brand that, it just took off and it's just continued to grow and grow and grow like ever since.
Both sound really proud.
We are.
Yeah, it's
really
nice.
Proud.
It's nice to see.
It's so nice to see all the product here selling. Yeah. You know, it's been amazing. And like that launch that we did in head office, so in September, just to try and get a bit of traction from the head office. We've got so many people here that we know would shop into this brand. So when it did launch, we thought, right, let's take this opportunity, do a mini little launch party kind of thing at head office. And obviously that turned out really well. It was the biggest conversion rate from like a social media point of view, you know, from customers clicking onto that, reading a bit about, looking at all the pictures and buying. It was a really successful
23, which considering it launched July, August into like it wasn't even 6 months old at that point.
Brand new.
It's brand new. And I think doing that at head office kind of, it's all right for us to believe in it because we live and breathe it every single day. Yeah. And it's just getting that confidence and that confirmation that like
from others,
just getting other people on board, because I think when you do start something new, there's always that risk that it might not work. And it's, you know, we really believe in it. And now that people have seen it and they get behind it, it's so nice that it can then like spiral into something even bigger. It's
good you've taken that risk though, because I think, you know, we're kind of chatting a little bit before, but I don't think, you know, that you can't, if you want to be really successful here, you've got to take those risks, whether they're small or big. And you know, this was obviously going to be a risk, and also like we've alluded to, great that the teams and the managers as well were like, you know, go show us like what you think.
That's definitely something that's a massive positive for working at Next. Like, we both started on the trainee program, and you do feel you have that impact being even young and not as experienced. You're still learning the trade and learning the job, but you still have a voice and you still can chase after those opportunities with your fresh eyes and ideas, basically.
And we were saying beforehand that you're so lucky to be in that position where you might have, like, for example, we have 5 years of experience, but you're sat next to somebody with 20, 30 years of experience, and everything's at your fingertips where you can ask those questions about fabric, and people want to help as well. Like, I feel
really?
And want you to learn and grow within the business.
And I've never worked anywhere else other than Next, but since being here, like, that whole helpful team culture, it's not like this is my job, that's your job kind of thing. It's like everyone works together because as a team, the whole team is responsible for it. Like, it's not just me and Dom, it's the designers, it's the tech, it's the merch, like people who believe in it, who build it, who have those conversations week in, week out. And, you know, everybody helps each other. and like the sky's the limit really. It's what you make of it, and you know,
this job is definitely what you make it. That's what we were saying earlier.
Oh really?
Yeah, just chasing after those opportunities, and
you can come in 9 to 5, but that will only push you so far, and then it's what you want to get out of it. And I think that's why we're so proud, because you know, you see all your hard work paying off.
And it's selling.
It's sells.
When it comes down to it.
When it comes down to it, the money does the talking.
So you both must really be into like fashion, because you said as well you started as trainees. Did you both start together?
No.
I was here first for about 6 months, and Dominique worked at Bravissimo, and fancied a change, and I said, get yourself to Next.
I've
got her on the trainee.
So
the referrer friend.
Oh, nice. So you used the referrer friend. Nice.
Yeah.
So you must have known each other prior to that then as well.
Yeah, we're really good friends.
Oh, right, nice.
We literally met at school, and then we worked at Topshop together in store, and then we did the same degree, and then the friendship blossomed from there.
So you just live in each other's pockets. So holiday together, gym together,
Marbella
work together,
times.
Marbella 5 times.
But that's nice though. That's nice that
really
you've
good.
kind of, I guess, does that help with doing a collaborative project like this then, or building this brand new range?
Yeah. We were saying before, I don't think I can remember a time that we've ever fell out about anything.
Well, really?
And
bold statement.
That is bold. There's people now like, you definitely are.
I think we just know each other really well. We know how to approach each other in a situation, and I think we both care about it so much that we just want the same outcome. So we want what's best for self, and we know how to help each other. And
we both agree, you know, we've got this whole brand ethos around self. That's why it's called Self. All about self-confidence, self-love, self-empowerment, and feeling confident and comfortable and trendy within what you're wearing, and affordable. And we kind of always bring it back to that, don't we? And we know what the whole brand is about.
And we're so lucky that essentially we are the customer that we're buying for.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously different levels to it, and there's like different people within it. But we just get to do what we love, and like that's something that's so great. Like, we'll bounce ideas off each other that we might not have thought about for our own areas, or like send stuff out whilst we're shopping. Like, just
always sending inspiration to each other.
So because you love it so much, is it almost like it's like a bit of it's a passion as well as a job?
Yeah. For sure. And I think it's great now that we've got other departments working on it, like Swim and Beach and Hats, Gloves, Scarves, where there's like more and more accessories, and you get to see this outfit and wear like head to toe.
You could pack your holiday wardrobe with Self, essentially. That's what we want, a whole brand in a capsule together that's accessible to everybody.
And the teams are really receptive for it, and we all work collaboratively together. Like, we try and have catch-ups about colours, and I think learning the new ways of working, because like we say, it's only just a year old really, so
still
we're
really
learning
new
on the job, because it's not just, we don't just do Self, like we do a whole area
of the
well.
departments.
Like, this comes out of essentially what we would have built for our own range, because it isn't its own department, so it's an additional thing job. So it's like an additional round of meetings, an additional round of design presentations the designers have to do together, and you know, work out what works for their departments, because we might be like, oh, we'd love that on a hat, or love that, but essentially they're the specialists in their areas. So it's just it's finding that balance, but it's exciting to learn. It's completely new for us both.
It's good as well that you mentioned there that, you know, it's, and you mentioned a little bit about a couple of minutes ago, that people are, it doesn't feel like you're fighting against different people to get this out.
Definitely
it's more
not.
Everyone wants to see it succeed.
Everybody does,
You know, not just a few people.
There's people on non-clothing, there's women on non-clothing that probably wouldn't wear Self, but they appreciate what it is and what we're trying to achieve. And everybody, you know, wants it to succeed, which is the beauty of it as well.
And it's so nice when we do like product surgeries and Christmas meetings and things like that, where when it all comes together, and like on the photo shoots, when we're planning the photo shoots with Lucy, and we sit down and it's who your model is and what she's going to look like,
all considered for the brand,
all considered, all collectively. And when you actually see it all together, you're like, you take a step back and you're like, wow, and when people's reactions to it, and you see that when it's all set feedback up in the mock shop and stuff, it's just it's so nice.
So you have considered taking this on almost as a brand then?
Definitely.
Not just like it's not just like a range or
it's its brand.
Or a seasonal launch.
It's its own brand.
It's got a lot more longevity than that.
Sold on Next. It's got its own care labels, POS labels. It's got its own hangers developed for in-store. It comes in its own poly bag with a little thank you card. Like all the little details totally make it separate from
And does that help then appeal to a different kind of customer, do you think?
So. I think anybody with that attitude of I don't shop at Next, it's where my mum shops, like we were saying from the market research, it kind of sets it apart and makes it more of a brand. But then you've got, you know, the Next, we pride ourselves with our quality, so you've still got that aspect as well. And
also I guess then it's bringing them to that Next reputation. To go,
Yeah.
oh actually my perception was this.
Yeah.
Self's allowed me to see all of this other stuff as well, which is in turn going to help with sales.
Yeah.
And it gives that customer the opportunity to look at what else we sell on
Next.
Exactly. And actually there is a lot that we buy now working at Next, which we probably wouldn't have if we didn't work here, because there is beautiful products.
I was going to say, like, the Instagrammers that we reach out to and like who wear it and do create these reels, they are a completely different audience to what might actually normally come to us for it. And we have seen such a success in that, and like the sales do reflect that. So
it's exciting though, isn't it?
It's really
exciting though, to think that even though the scale that Next is at, there's still massive opportunities like something with this. And it feels like you're only just this is only just getting started.
Exactly. That is definitely how it feels. It feels, you know, we constantly get asked, what's the newest thing? What's the next thing? But, you know, we want to move with those times, and we don't want to keep it stuck. And if it wasn't relevant, we wouldn't be pushing what we believe in, because we obviously know now we've got a read on those sales. So we want to look after who that customer is. But each time we dip into like newness, she's receiving it. So I think that's the best thing. Like now more than ever at Next, we've got that platform.
And to be trend driven and try something new, this is a totally new thing year on year that didn't exist, and it's done amazing. So we just want that to continue to grow.
It's nice. That's really nice to hear. I like when I find little stories like this and hear about it. Well, it's not even little, is it? Let's be honest. Like what sort of you like? How many items or different ranges? Just some of the.
I think it normally depends on phase by phase, doesn't it?
We're kind of doing 2 drops every spring, summer, and then 2 drops in your autumn, winter. So you wouldn't drop a new collection in every phase like we normally would at Next. I think that's just to make it a little bit more
beefier,
disruptive, and a bit more of a, you know, landing new in,
bit more
exciting,
get excited for this,
and be able to do it with conviction as well behind the messages we believe in.
And the change in the colour palettes and the trends are really statement for that time.
With each other.
So that feels right to be buying it within that way. But obviously, as you can see, it is more athleisure driven, more lounge driven, but actually the newness coming into spring summer 25 that we're now working on is totally different. We're looking at more feminine handwriting, you know, something we're moving with those trends and bringing in more things that we wouldn't have necessarily bought for self that are still relevant. And
that customer profile, like we were saying, is different to our main range Next person. And, you know, she might not just want her sweats and things like that. She might want her pretty side of things. And it's just finding new avenues to explore.
Yeah, it's exciting. So why have you always both wanted to cook? I know we mentioned it earlier. Have you both said, right, I want to work at Next then? Is that something that's always been on your radar?
Just
why is that?
I just think, you know, that the reputation, the trainee program, it is a program. You know, you join Next and you learn so much. You learn in your trade and your job at that time. But as we've said, you've also got the opportunity to have the impact. You have so much exposure to senior management. You can take on your own little projects, and you make the job what it is.
And you both felt that from like day one, have you? Or
I mean, it's hard work, but it's rewarding as well. to think that we've got all of this behind us as well now. It's, you learn so much.
Yeah, I don't think you ever kind of get made to feel like a junior person who doesn't have any experience. Like, people want to feed you the knowledge, people want to help you, and I think I've always felt so welcome and so nurtured, and there's just so many things set up in place to do that. And like Dom was saying, the job is what you make it. If you want to come work 9 to 5, that's fine, but you actually can achieve so much more than that. And I think especially from management, that they want to see people exploring these avenues and like, well, how can we move with the times? How can we make it more relevant? And I think you definitely have the freedom to do that at Next.
And that's why the trainee program's so great, because you've got you know, young people, fresh, hungry, you know, to progress and want to bring their ideas to the table.
That's good to hear. And I guess now you guys would be in a position where you've got trainees coming into your teams as well. And are you seeing that same sort of ethos and mentality now coming through from there?
It's great to see. You just remember when that was you, and it's nostalgic, but it's great because they also think of things that you may not have thought of, and vice versa. You can teach them about your experiences and where you started, and it kind of gives that person a bit of comfort that, you know, you will get through it and you will progress within the job.
It is a really good program, the trainee program. I know, you know, speak to loads of trainees who are either in it, or I think there's a crazy stat that I think it's about 75% of our managers, so buying and merch, started as trainees. So that just shows you the kind of like what you were both talking about, the kind of progression that's there.
And it gives you a goal to aspire to as well, and it's not impossible to do.
No, definitely not. And is that kind of something you both see yourself kind of progressing towards? not trying to like put you on the spot with your managers. Buyer first.
But yeah, definitely.
And that would be the next step, is it? Buyer, and that's then taking it up to buying a whole area, for example, whether that be lingerie or lounge. Not saying that's where you go, but that's an option, isn't it?
And then you have your assistants and trainees, and you work with your merch. It's a whole different
and
dynamic
is that
of
and
the
what
job.
is like that dynamic, you know, even on the self range, like what are the kind of people that are involved in that?
So everybody on the team has to be involved at some point.
For it to work, basically.
For it to work, So you've got design, merchandise, you've got your techs, fabric techs, garment techs.
Just everybody chips in together to make it work. Obviously, it starts off from a design perspective where they're coming up with the inspiration, and you know, everyone's feeding ideas off each other. But then obviously merch have to come in and, you know, like rein us in slightly with our like numbers and our ideas. But it's super collaborative, and obviously we were saying before, the fit and the fabric is so important as well, so they play a massive part in making sure that we are actually delivering what we say we are. So everybody's like such a crucial part, and we always feel bad, don't we, because it's like, oh, Charlotte and Dawn, the Soap girls, but
we
like,
know
you know
that it's not just
we know
us,
that it's not just us,
it's a whole
couldn't
team
do it without our teams.
And I guess if it wants to expand, like you're saying, it's just a year. Well, coming up to a year since it's kind of been around. If it wants to grow, more people will need to be involved anyway, because, you know, it's like there might be stuff on women's wear, for example.
Definitely. There's going to be experts around the business that we're going to need to take it on, you know, if we wanted to expand out to other product areas. But that is the future for it. We hope.
We want its own area. Its own area.
Its own Instagram.
Dropping the hints in.
Like Don was just saying, its own Instagram. Like, we'd love to get our own brand ambassadors, you know, but like what Rochelle is like for Next, like we'd love
somebody that's our muse, our model for the brand would be amazing.
Just to bring in again that interest of what
and
somebody's
potentially
wearing,
new audience
new
as well.
Audience, definitely a more shoppable experience as well, because we want to make it a big thing in store. Like, we want people to go in and see it and like have that initial impact and be like, wow.
So a lot of ambition still there from you both.
It's not going anywhere.
Where's that come from, do you reckon? Have you always had that since you've known each other?
We've always had that. I think our degree, don't know if I'm speaking at the time, but our degree actually give us that, you know, real passion and strive, and it was a real hard working degree. We both did contour fashion at DMU.
Okay, what's that?
Lingerie, swim, and
intimate, so like sportswear design. So it's a design degree, and you do everything from your inspirational shopping all the way through to your tech packs. You make 6 outfits at the end of the year.
Oh right, so it's like you're setting. So it's like you're setting up a whole
brand.
Yeah.
So
okay, I'm seeing it now.
Yeah. So that has put us in really good stead, especially to have that drive to want to develop within the roles as well that we're doing.
And we're obviously best friends outside of work as well before here. And I think we've always been quite loud, confident, fiery people. It's really creative. We love fashion.
I'm waiting for something now. I'm like, what's going to happen?
No, we love fashion, and we love we just love the product, and I think it makes this a little bit less of a job when you love it and you get results from it, and it, like you say, it becomes your passion. So I think it's getting them rewards from it. You get back what you put in, and I feel like it makes everything worthwhile. And you know, we're not like half a job people. We go full steam ahead with everything that we do.
I'm not getting that from either of you. I am not getting that from either of you. And when you've explained there what you did at uni, it literally was just like a light bulb. I was like, I can see why you've got involved with this now. Because you've gone, hang on a minute, I developed that at uni and I liked it. And I want to keep doing it.
And it was hard, and it was like, you know, I think they set you up for the industry.
Set us up for the industry, working life. It can be a shock going from a part-time job to uni to full-time. It was, but not as much as I expected it to be, because our degree was so, 24 hours a day almost. Yeah, we were. Working
some
through the night.
Could leave things till last minute. With like writing degrees, I don't know, but we physically had to come up with like opening hours of the sewing machines and all of that stuff, dyeing fabrics, creating our own prints, like working on CADs, like illustrations,
working to a critical
like
path,
critical path.
So it's just all transferable skills to the job.
Really good then, good that you did that. Probably kind of, set you up for then coming here.
Well, only 70 people get picked to do the course every year. I think it's like one of the only 2 in Europe or something. So we always knew that we like a challenge, don't we?
So there's only 2 unis in the UK that do it. So it's Leicester and London. So we both went to Leicester.
Oh, nice. Because are you both local to the end of the campus then as well?
Local,
I mean, I guess that's good then that you've been able to... Is that quite important to you both, that you are in the local area and, working for a local employer? Because I guess sometimes, because, being from Leicester myself as well, some people might think, oh, there's not many opportunities, but I guess this is such a big employer, isn't it? And so many opportunities here.
I mean, it's just kind of worked out really well for us that we're local. I think a lot of young people think that the only opportunities are in London or Manchester, like we mentioned before, for fashion. But it's so not true. There's so much here in Enderby, this huge campus. There's so much to go at. It's when you meet people and they say, oh, do you know so-and-so from Lex? No.
I get that a lot. I've heard that one a lot. They work on this department.
Still never heard of them.
Right, not heard of that.
Probably in a different building.
Massively. I mean, that's really good though, that it's nice to see you've both been on that journey together as well.
It helps to have somebody to talk to
cry on.
And what would you say being in buying would be like if you were going to kind of give someone a bit of advice that's doing something, what kind of tips or advice would you give them?
I think to be in buying, you've got to be really open-minded.
Okay.
You kind of not, if you were to Google what a buyer's role was, it would be quite straightforward. But actually, when you get into the job,
no day's the same.
No day's the same. The weeks fly. You are involved in every detail. You have to be involved in that fabric sign-off process. How much quantity you've got behind an item. Costing the item, designing it, picking the colour.
Chasing your samples in, having supplier relations. Just managing your team's critical. You're almost like the middleman, like designer,
everybody
super creative,
within the team.
merch are quite numbers driven. You've got to be that middle.
You've got to be both.
You've got to be both.
Okay. That's an interesting way of putting it. I've never really heard
You're like
it
the
or
mediator.
phrased it. Heard of that.
Yeah.
I've never heard it that way, but that is a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
So kind of got to be the mediator. Is there anything else you can think of that would be?
I think definitely push what you believe in,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And like just have confidence in yourself, because there's a reason why you're doing what you're doing. And, you know, trust your instincts, trust other people. Like Dom said, be open to other people's ideas.
Be quite personal with it as well. You know, if it's not something that you would wear, or you can't see the other customer, the customer that you've got in your mind wearing it, it's about sharing those opinions. You've got to be quite firm with what your decision is, I think, to be in buying as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just try and learn off everybody. And I think the best thing to do, especially at a place as big as Next, is like, make sure you have those great relationships with the people you work with, because everybody's there to help each other. Everybody relies on each other, and it is quite important to be a people person when you are a buyer, because you're the one that presents the room to your managers and directors when you're signing things off. So there's a lot of pressure on your shoulders, and there's a lot of, but I think that's the whole,
there's a lot of reward
about the job, like when you see things working out. I think and
I think going back to the trainee scheme, even when I was a trainee on women's wear, so I've not always been on non-clothing. I was on women's wear originally and moved around quite a lot. You do get so much exposure in a selection meeting. You know, if I was to look after a small slice of the pie kind of thing of the department, you would be presenting that to the directors and management, and you get all that exposure from being really new into the business.
So you're not just sitting in those meetings from the off to be like note taking.
You are
or
involved.
Observing.
If you're in that meeting,
like
you're bringing something to the meeting, and it just
make it.
And it sets you up then for later on in your career.
Wow. That's pretty good advice. I mean, it's been a pleasure talking to you both.
Thank you.
You know, I really, you know, I've heard so much about Self, you know, working at Next myself, and it's good to see two people from the wider team of, you know, why it's come about and how it's being made and where it's going, but also more just kind of hearing your two's journey as well. I think that's really nice to see, because you know, I think a lot of the time, because Next is such a fast-moving, big UK retailer, I think people forget that there's actually, you know,
life behind.
There's life and people. There's life and people, and it's nice that you guys are like going on that journey together. So it's really nice to hear about that and see it. Yeah. So thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
No
It's
worries.
been great. It's been
great
fun.
fun.